What is up, fellow YouTubers? So, excuse me. So earlier I went to Old Chicago for dinner. I took myself and two other friends, and we went to Old Chicago. The food was excellent. The service was amazing. Like, we have an Old Chicago here in Casper, and well, if I had more money on my gift cards, you already know I'd be going again. But me and like two other friends went there, and we hung out and ate dinner and relaxed. And the waitress was super friendly, and she was on top of her shit. So hell yeah. So if you're ever in the Casper area and you want to check out Old Chicago, I would highly recommend. They have these mac and cheese deep fried things that are just so flipping good. You don't even know. They also have a beautiful selection of pizza. I freaking had a what was it? One of those double cheddar, double bacon burger things. Yeah, the side of ranch. I literally had two super tall glasses of Blue Moon to go with dinner, and it was delicious. And it's nice to get out of the apartment and go do things with your friends instead of just, which I love my apartment, don't get me wrong. But, at the same time, it's nice to get out and go do shit. You know. Well, earlier today, I was dealing with some difficulty in getting my shoe laced up. The string on my shoe wasn't catching the little hook on the side. And part of the stress was due to being hungry, and the other half was just, yeah. So, in sheer frustration, I threw my shoe at the bed, and when I did so, my pentagram ring went flying off. And I could feel myself getting really pissed at that. So, I had to take a couple seconds to just breathe, whatever, and stay calm and look for it. Because quite frankly, YouTube, I'm sick and tired of flipping out over little tiny things. And needless to say, I found it. I might have kicked my workbench with my steel toe. I might have cussed about it a little bit. But other than kicking my workbench with my steel toe and cussing about it just a little bit, that was the extent of it. I didn't start yelling and screaming and carrying on, and you know. And I realized that if I want a girlfriend, I gotta work on my temper, plain and simple. And it's not easy some days. Life likes to push people's buttons. You ever notice that? Hmm. No, to quote my ex girlfriend Summer, if life were easy, it would be a slut. uh, I had a couple of cute waitresses at Old Chicago checking me out, which I was alright with that. I even had my Bond pheromone soap on, which, yeah, pretty much every chick was like, that dude smells good. Speaking of which, I ordered some more, and they threw in another bar of soap for $5 extra. Instead of the usual, they gave me another bar of soap at a discount. Not too bad. I ordered some Bond pheromone soap, the usual, and then I also ordered a bar of cedar soap, which is, I'm assuming, going to be wood scented, like trees and stuff, yeah. And I've had such positive results with the Bond pheromone soap that I don't mind trying out another scent. Like pretty much every chick I walk by when wearing said Bond pheromone soap from tacticalsoap.com says that goth dude smells sexy. And that's no bullshit. Now, I've seen pheromone cologne, literally, I've seen pheromone cologne go for like $200 a bottle. That's ridiculous. When you could get 1 to 2 bars of pheromone soap for just $15. Which, granted, that's pretty expensive for soap, but it's worth it. Also did some laundry yesterday. I took a little bit of my pheromone soap and I cut up some chunks and threw it in the wash with my clothing. Now, it's not easy, YouTube, but I've been trying to work on my temper. It's just, even before New Year's Eve, it's just something I've been trying to do. For wand supplies, I needed some orange spray paint and some black spray paint, because I'm just about out of the handle paint. And I also needed another book of sandpaper. So, right after I went to Old Chicago with my friends, we went to Walmart. They were getting something, so I ran in there real quick to get some spray paint and some sandpaper, so that way I'll have what I need. We're doing classic leather for this next batch on the handles. Nothing wrong with that. So the fire opal I ordered came in, but yeah, it's in a display case about yay big and about yay tall. Wasn't quite what I was expecting, but there you go. Paid $20 for a fire opal. That's the size of a grain of rice. That's an expensive rock, man. One second. Grab it real quick. Take a look at that. And when you move it in the light, you can see it changes color. That's why it's so sought after. I could return it, but I'll count it as a loss and maybe as a learning tool next time I go to order fire opal off of Etsy. They have like pendants and stuff for like $75. that I could probably use to make into a badass scepter. But that would mean, of course, I'd have to charge a lot more for the scepter when I make it. If I'm putting a fire opal in the bottom of the handle and a quartz crystal in the top, you know what I'm saying. It's not exactly a cheap process, mind you. And this is why I like making the handheld wands that I make. They don't require a whole lot to make, and they're fairly cheap to make. The most expensive part about the wand business would be shipping them, which conveniently I can use the United States Post Office to ship my wands. And there's two of them here in town, so whichever happens to be most convenient for the moment, you know. I suppose I can just save the fire opal for my girlfriend when I get one. You know, make her a fire opal ring. 'Cause that's about all that's good for. You couldn't put this in a wand. It'd be too tiny, and shipping it would be a nightmare because you'd be worried about it coming out. And yeah, I mean, I could put it in a wand, but if the hole for it would have to be really tiny, and yeah, I'd have to charge $34 for the fire opal handheld wand if I made one. So I might try to put this into a handheld wand and sell it on Etsy. I mean, I do have drill bits that are small enough for something like this, but yeah. So I might just include this with my next batch of wands and be like, yeah. Considering I paid $20 for this fire opal, charging $34 for it seems a bit more reasonable. And anyone who has anything to say about it can forget about it because fire opal is expensive. No sense in wasting it, I guess. Or I could put it in the handle of a wand. Like, and if I did, it'd be a wand like you'd hold in your hand. Hmm. Although I'm probably not going to do that just because I'm thinking about it, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. I think if I was putting fire opal into a wand, I'd want something a little bit bigger. It's a good idea in concept until you look at it and be like, drilling a hole for that would be a nightmare because the hole would have to be super tiny. And then shipping it would be a nightmare because you'd be worried about, you know. So you'd have to make sure that the glue was on there properly. So I end up just saving this, for, there we go. The weather should be a bit warmer tomorrow or later on today, so I'll be collecting a couple of sticks when the weather warms up and try to get some wand money before this coming weekend. Yeah. When it comes to the dating scene, I don't want to hear any excuses. I see a lot of age chicks make all these piss poor excuses on why they can't find a boyfriend, and I'm like, what the fuck ever? Oh, my boobs are too small, my ass is too flat, or I'm too fat, this and that. Well, shut up with that. That would be like me saying, oh, I can't have a girlfriend because of my Asperger's. That's just an excuse. No, the only reason I have a hard time getting a girlfriend is because of my asshole trolls. A lot of girls are seeing how I get bullied on social media, and most of them are getting scared away because they don't want to get bullied. They don't want to get bullied just for dating me. And that's fair and understandable. I mean, it's not fair to me, but it's certainly not fair to them to ask them to go through that. And here's the thing of it. Even if I don't tell YouTube I have a girlfriend, they have a way of finding out eventually. Being as I'm a YouTube celebrity, and I might be overthinking it a bit, but what if I got a girlfriend, didn't say shit to YouTube, and then took her out for a bite to eat or whatever, and a fan saw me in town, decided to snap a picture and post it to their Facebook, and be like, about time we got someone. And then that's all it would take. People would see the photo would go viral, people would start asking me questions, they'd be like, so who's this new chick you're dating? Like, what are you talking about? Well, there's this photo of you and this chick at this restaurant, and blah, 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 blah. Like, ah, great. So, I'll save that for later. Well, didn't you just get done saying you don't want to hear any excuses on the dating scene? Precisely my point. This is why I haven't given up on dating completely, but I'm a bit more hesitant on which girl I ask out, if that makes any sense. Even though girls might get scared away from dating me because of my trolls, something to keep in mind outside of the people who harass and bully me on YouTube is I have a lot of people who watch my videos and they're like major fans. Like I'll have strangers here in town be like, "Hey, you're that one dude on YouTube," you know. That being said, my fans would worship the ground you walk on. They would treat you like a queen because you're dating me, whereas I'd treat you like a goddess, a step above, you know what I'm saying. But it is what it is. I'm not gonna let, you know, I'm not gonna let these trolls stop me from pursuing some female companionship. That's bullshit. And here's something to think about. If you're trying to stop me from getting a girlfriend, maybe it's because you're jealous that I have better luck with the ladies than you do. And you might say to yourself, "No, I just fucking hate your guts." Well, that's cute. Nice to see I control your life so much. Because here's the thing about YouTube, in all honesty. If my biggest hater had a girl they were sweet on and they were trying to ask out, would I stop it? And the answer is no, I would not. I'm just saying, like, unless, of course, she was underage, then I'd be saying something about it. I'd be like, "Hey, motherfucker, that's nasty." But that's just my point, is even if it was my biggest hater and they had a more successful YouTube, a more successful Etsy, I wouldn't care because it's none of my business. They've worked hard for their success, so what gives me the right to come along and try to ruin it? And I suppose that just makes me a bigger person than most of my haters. I'm just saying, when I meet the smoking hot goth chick in my dreams, we'll see who has the last laugh. I mean, she doesn't have to be goth, but I'm just saying, you know, time has a funny way of working things out, and it's only a matter of time. You know, and personally, I'm just trying to have YouTube. Personally, I'm just trying to have the right attitude about the whole situation. You know, I don't complain about it as much as I used to. In fact, I don't even complain about it at all. Like, I used to complain about being single all the fucking time. And I got tired of complaining about it because I'm just reminding myself of why I'm sad. And then it got to the point where I'm like, okay, yes, I like getting pussy as much as the next heterosexual male, but I refuse to let that control my life. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going to be upset about not getting laid because that's stupid. Like, I refuse. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I realized, I'm like, well, that's exactly the problem with our society. People act like their dick's gonna fall off if they don't get laid. And I'm like, mm, it's not gonna fall off. You're just being melodramatic. And I can't sit here and say I'm sick and tired of this stereotype that all men want is sex and then turn around and be depressed because I'm not getting any. That would make me a fucking hypocrite. So, you know, I refuse to let it upset me, quite frankly, for being brutally honest. Now, some of you might bitch and complain and say, "Well, that's not fair. Women are allowed to be depressed when they haven't had sex in a while." Well, that's because for women it's different. You know what I'm saying? And I hate to be like that, but it's the fucking truth. And the only reason why I say that is because the negative stereotype isn't all men. You know what I'm saying? The all men stereotype, like that stereotype doesn't exist for women. The stereotype isn't all women want is, you know what I'm saying? And you can sit there and say, "Well, that's kind of bullshit," but I'm like, that's life, dude. All men want is sex. You want to complain about that stereotype? Well, guess what? If a chick fucks one dude, she gets called a slut. So you want to talk to me about how unfair life really is? Another reason why women are allowed to be depressed if they haven't had companionship is because they're the ones giving it. Okay? They're the ones offering themselves over to somebody. You know, and most guys don't look at sex like that. But then again, I'm not most guys. A lot of women think they have to have a pound of makeup on, show a little bit of cleavage, and wear some perfume. And it's like, no, you don't. You're overthinking it. Sometimes not showing off your boobs, it leaves a little something something for the imagination, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of women think, oh, I gotta show off my boobs to get attention from the males. And from my perspective, not necessarily. Like, you can dress sexy without it being stupid revealing. You know what I'm saying? You dress sexy without it being stupid revealing. It leaves a little something for the imagination. And some guys get off on that shit. It's the same reaction when chicks are staring at a dude's ass. Legitly, it's no different than when a chick stares at a dude's ass. And she's picturing what it would look like. I'm just saying, like, if a dude wears a muscle t-shirt and it's form fitting, but it's not like stupid tight. It leaves a little something for the chicks to imagine, you know? So it's the same concept. Although lately I've been hearing a lot of chicks refer to me as a sexy goth and say things like, oh, I totally date him. So even if I'm not getting female companionship right away, that is a bit reassuring and it makes me feel better about myself. Even if I don't see it, at least someone else does. Like, I try to have confidence in myself, but that's the problem with our society. If you have too much confidence, people say you have an ego and oh you're just narcissistic. You don't have enough confidence, and freaking people say you're shy and reserved. And sometimes it just feels like in society you can't win. You try your hardest and it's still not good enough. So even when you try your hardest in life and it's still not good enough, you still keep trying because life is like a YouTube troll. If you let the shit get to you, you're gonna have a miserable life. And that's just the cold hard truth of it. Life doesn't care who you are. Life will just kick you in the balls and then say, well, did that feel good? Too bad. And you can sit there and complain about how unfair it is, but guess what? Everyone's been kicked in the balls by life at least once or twice. So that's the only thing that makes life remotely fair is that everyone gets fucked with at some point in their life. I'm just saying, like, that's the only thing that's the only thing that makes life fair. And here's the best part of it. Let's say you marry your high school sweetheart, and you two have an awesome relationship, and you produce five amazing kids. But now you got a house, and both you and your wife are working two jobs apiece to make ends meet. You'd think that these people would get a tax return. And from their jobs, they do get a tax return. But 95 to 98% of their money goes back to the government. And it's like, okay, why is it that married couples get screwed over on tax day? I mean, Jesus Christ, the two biggest things couples fight about are sex and money. And it's no wonder couples are getting divorced when uh, the the IRGS or the IGRS. Yeah, I got really screwed. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, and then on top of that, people with small businesses don't get a tax return. And it's like you could work for McDonald's. You could work for McDonald's for like 2.5 years, and if you're single, you'll get a tax refund. So, and my question to you is, do you think McDonald's started off as the powerhouse it is today? No. At one point, McDonald's was a small business, much like a lot of the small businesses today. And and if you don't want to end up owing money because you're working off the grid, you're working for yourself, then you end up having to write off these things called business expenses. Things like, for me, that would be like Mod Podge, Gorilla Glue, leather, copper, quartz crystals, that sort of thing. Sandpaper, spray paint. And they deduct from what you. Because originally I was gonna end up owing like $568, but after doing taxes and some business deductions, I only owe like a little over $128. But still, you know, and that's the thing of it is the people in charge of these things do not care. They're living the golden life. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand what it's like, you know. And I'm just saying, like, in reference to that couple, for that hypothetical, you'd think they need it more than some single person. Groceries are freaking expensive. And not only are groceries expensive, but prescription drugs, doctor visits, insurance, you know, clothing. Life is expensive. There's nothing you can do about it, you know, except make the best of it. And I think to myself, you know, wouldn't the married couple benefit from that more than somebody who's single and doesn't have kids? I'm just saying, like, why can't married couples? Why do they even charge married couples extra money just to be married? Like, isn't marriage hard enough as it is? Like, Jesus fucking Christ. It's like you're getting screwed two ways when you get married, by your wife and by the government. Yay! Uh, it's like if I want to get fucked on my taxes, at least give me a cigarette and a steak dinner. uh, I don't know. Like, it is what it is. I'm just saying though, like, it's a bit disconcerting when married couples have to struggle with their finances because the economy sucks. And, you know, speaking of the economy sucking, I saw an article on the Casper Star Tribune that said Wyoming is facing a financial crisis. Apparently, citizens of Wyoming are finding it difficult to save up for retirement. And I'm over here like, well, if we legalize pot for this state, not only would senior citizens have access to medical cannabis, but it would also make a shit ton of money for the state. I'm just saying. Like, a lot of the problems that senior citizens get, arthritis for one, can be treated with cannabis. And that's exactly why it's been made illegal this freaking long. Is they would much rather you take a pill that gives you 10 side effects to one solution. You take a pill for your arthritis, but you have trouble sleeping, changes in behavior, you're jittery, you develop kidney problems, and you're sitting there going, wait a minute, you take this pill for your arthritis, but you're getting, you know, and people know the side effects of weed. You get hungry, you get a little happy, you get sleepy, and you get cotton mouth, so you get thirsty. You know what I'm saying? You're hungry, happy, sleepy, and thirsty, and slight paranoia. And the only reason people get paranoid about it when they're smoking is because it's illegal. I guarantee you, if pot were legal, you know, and that's just it. You know, if you're too stoned to drive, then don't fucking drive. Order a pizza and chill the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? You gotta treat pot like alcohol in that sense. You can't be driving when you're too stupid to drive. You shouldn't be driving buzzed, period. You know. Although I tend to think people who smoke pot are better drivers than people who drink, because people who smoke pot are going to be a bit more cautious. They're going to be like, paranoid about getting in a wreck and shit. So I don't know. But that's just my opinion. Not saying you should drive stoned. That's not what I'm saying. No. Mm-mm. But if they do legalize it, they're going to have to get a system in play so that if they test someone for being under the influence, there's a problem with this, because they test you for pot and you smoked a joint or a blunt like 2 weeks ago, it's still going to be in your system. So you could be stone cold sober. You could be stone cold sober driving, and if you get pulled over and they test you, oh, sir, there's marijuana in your system. Huh, I want to give you a ticket for driving impaired. Like, dude, I smoked that shit like 2 weeks ago. Fuck out of here with that. Not to mention the fucking meth problem in this goddamn city. Ugh, don't even get me started. Fucking makes me sick to my fucking stomach. And I think to myself, if we could legalize pot in Wyoming, it would help with the economy. People would be able to save up for retirement much more easily. It would attract tourism to the state. Not only would it attract tourism to the state, but people would be able to get access to the medicine they need. And a lot of these meth heads would quit smoking that nasty shit and switch to weed, I guarantee it. Because they'd be like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You're telling me this weed shit gets you high and it's legal. They'd be like, yeah, dude. Well, fucking hey, pass that shit. And, I've seen what meth does to a community. It's disgusting. Hard drugs destroy communities, man. And words cannot begin to express how deeply disgusted and ashamed I am. The fact that Casper's like the meth capital of Wyoming, it's just, ugh, dude. And I'm tired of seeing the way it affects my community. It's not right. We look at legalization of cannabis in Colorado, and you see that suicide has dropped, prescription drug and hard drug abuse and alcohol abuse has dropped, crime's dropped. Not only has crime dropped, but Colorado is pimp slapping Wyoming with the money they're making, just straight. Ow. You ever walk into a dispensary to buy legal weed so you can smoke it in a state where it's legal? It's a wonderful feeling, YouTube. You walk into a dispensary and just the smell of weed hits you, and you're just like, And then you see then you take a peek and you see the plants growing in the background, and you're just like, oh. And then you go in to buy your legal weed, and freaking dispensary staff is super friendly. They're just like, hey, what up, man? What you looking to get today? Yeah. And then you get your weed, you're out the door. You drive about 4 blocks away from the dispensary, and you can fucking smoke it up, man. Fucking go to town on that shit, and they can't say shit. When I went to the Ozzy Osbourne concert in Denver, Colorado, I bought a joint from a dispensary, and right after I left the concert, after seeing Ozzy perform live, I raised the joint in the air and I said, this one's for Ozzy Osbourne, and I fucking sparked that shit up. I was like, it was just like smoking a cigarette walking down the street. And the surrealism of it, like just to be able to walk down the street and smoke on a joint and no one says shit other than, oh hey, that smells good, what you smoking? Oh hey man, can I hit that? Fucking hey. Oh my god, YouTube, it's beautiful. You don't even know. Like, I would move to Denver if I could afford it. Like I think I could get over my social anxiety of a shit ton of people, you know what I'm saying? Real quickly. But eh, it's all right. I shouldn't have to leave my state just to get legal weed for my Asperger's and cataracts. That's bullshit. But I'm not complaining because it could be worse, dude. My buddy Alex needed weed more than I do, and he died while having a fucking seizure. And long story short, if medical marijuana would have been legal in Wyoming, there's a good chance that Alex would not have died. But Alex isn't the only person in Wyoming that has died within the last 20 some odd years because people didn't have access to it. You know, Alex is definitely not the only person. There are tons of people who have stories of people they know that suffered from life debilitating disorders or any sort of disorder that cannabis would have made a little bit easier, or if not, made it go away. And innocent people, and that's what it comes down to, YouTube. Innocent people, innocent civilians are succumbing to their disorders because they don't have access to God's medicine. These fucking Christians want to call it the devil's lettuce, but I'm like, Exodus 32:34, and God told Abraham to make a holy anointment oil using cinnamon, frankincense, myrrh, cannabis, virgin olive oil, a bunch of other shit. And I'm sitting there like, okay, Christians think potion making and witchcraft is evil, but what the fuck is the holy anointment oil? That sounds like a potion to me. And not to mention, the first Bible was printed on hemp paper. The first United States flag was sewn from a hemp sail. The United States Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, drafted on hemp. Huh. I tend to think the fact that cannabis is illegal is so unconstitutional, man. Our founding fathers were smoking it back in the day. Don't believe me? Huh. Well, then you need to do your research. Our first president, George Washington, smoked cannabis for his toothaches. Just saying. In fact, Benjamin Franklin came back from Europe with these cannabis and hemp seeds, and he basically told the colonies, hey man, we're going to start growing this and this is how you grow it. You know, cannabis, hemp, cotton, and tobacco were like the first four crops to establish an economy in American history. And, well, there are some areas of the country, just little America, small as shit. Maybe like 50 to 100 people, no work, no jobs, the economy sucks. They're doing what they can to get by. You know the towns I'm talking about. Areas like this, especially, would benefit from cannabis being legalized. And I like Eastridge Mall. I like going up there when I can. But they're thinking about closing it next year because the mall here in town is not making any money at all. And if they close the mall here in town, there's literally not going to be that much to do. You might have the movie theaters, you might have, you know, the restaurants, you might have the bars, but that's going to be it, you know. So, and that's because a lot of people are buying their shit online. You know, they're too fucking goddamn lazy to leave their house, walk around the mall, get some fucking exercise, go buy some clothing at a store and then sit down at the food court and eat some delicious food. That's shit, dude. And sure, you might be able to order it from the convenience of your home, but you have to wait for it. The convenience of having a shopping mall is you can just buy it and walk out the door with it. You don't have to wait for it to be shipped to your door. So, I don't know. I like shopping online when I can, but me personally, I prefer to shop in real stores where I can actually hold and see the product before I buy it. Because that's the problem with shopping online. You're not guaranteed to get exactly what you pay for. That makes it easier for people to fuck you over. Be like, oh, I want to take advantage of your money. Haha, I'm just gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, shopping online is a lot more dangerous than shopping in real life because people could promise some amazing product and then you go to buy it and you open the box and the box is empty. You just got screwed. Congratulations. You want a cigarette after that? I bet you do. You just got screwed hard for shopping online. Here's a pack of smokes. Here's a steak dinner. Here's some Powerade. Gotta rehydrate. And that's something to keep in mind, YouTube. While having the convenience to shop online may be handy sometimes, you know. How long is this video? Damn it. It's like 52 minutes long. I get carried away with my rants, but anyways, tubes. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all later.